Line
and the governor.
All right, thanks, Steve, and welcome back to the State Capitol Live and another exclusive edition of News 8's Ask the Governor. I'm Chief Capitol Correspondent Mark Davis, and he, of course, is Governor Dannel Malloy. Our next question from WTNH.com is from Nick in Thompson. He says, what is the governor's position on the state police plan to take dispatchers out of state police barracks and consolidate them away from the areas they're familiar with? And how will that affect response times and officers' safety?
You know, I was a prosecutor back in 1980 in New York City, a city then of 8 million people, where we had a single dispatch center. I mean, the idea that we dispatch from as many places, municipal governments and state government, as we do, it just isn't mindful of current technology. So I think we have to find better and less expensive ways to do just as good a job, if not a better job. And that's what we're trying to do. Technology has changed very substantially. Knowledge of roads is instantaneous on a computer map that appears before you. And quite frankly, dispatchers need to know the areas in which they're dispatching. But if you're asking me, do I think we need the scores and scores of dispatch centers that we have in the state of Connecticut currently, the answer is no, we don't.
So you think it can be done more efficiently with fewer?
That's the role of government, is to cut costs.
All right, let's go to our next question. This comes from our News 8 Voice of the People hotline from George in New London. Let's listen.
My concern is all these young adults that are text messaging and using their cell phones while they're driving. This is a growing concern and is causing the state, as well as local and federal organizations, thousands and thousands of dollars. Why don't you start putting their names in the newspaper, putting them out there, like the people that get DWIs?
All right, this already is illegal. To text or talk on
it's an infraction. It's a ticket, and I think we are ticketing for that. I think local police operations and state are. I think we have to teach our citizenry how to be safe again. You shouldn't have to do that, but we're going to put time and effort and resources into making sure people understand how unsafe those behaviors are, how they are endangering themselves and other people on the sidewalks and highways, and we're going to try to do that as well as we can.
As part of enforcement with the state police?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our next question. This is from Andy in West Haven. He says, speeding is wide. This is another traffic question, I guess. Andy says, speeding is widespread on Connecticut limited access highways like the Merritt and Wilbur Cross. Posted speed limit is only 55. Is there some type of high-tech equipment that could be installed to issue tickets to speeders? Fines should pay for the equipment. Now, this sounds like the red light cameras, too, although he's talking about the parkway.
Yeah, that technology is not currently allowed in Connecticut. I think it should be allowed. I think it. I think you know, I've been to Italy, where that system is currently in place, where people get tickets, and it has caused the speed to go down.
Well, no, I haven't been to Italy in about 30 years. How does that work?
You trigger it by going too fast. It takes a picture. You get a ticket
on the highway.
On the highway. That's a technology. Actually, I'm not necessarily advocating the introduction of that technology. I'm advocating that we change our laws to allow that to happen, and then we have a debate about whether that should happen on our highways. If you're asking me about red lights, I absolutely think we should go to an automatic issuance of red light tickets as quickly as we possibly can. I've advocated it for over 15 years. The legislature has not agreed. I did it as a mayor, understanding how dangerous that condition is in a city like Stamford, a major city in the United States, where lots of people are doing that sort of thing. So I think that our laws are not fully cognizant of technology, and we need to align our laws and technology.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll have more of your questions for Ask the Governor coming up live from the state capitol. Stay with us. We'll be back in 2 minutes. All right, let's get right back to more of your questions for Governor Dannel Malloy in Ask the Governor here live from the state capitol. This next question is from Nancy in Madison. Let's listen.
Why do retirees from the state of Connecticut not only get health benefits paid for the rest of their life for themselves, but also their spouses? But when we're paying for their spouses too, and there's people out here without health insurance at all, something's very, very wrong.
Okay. Very healthy medical plan for retirees from state service.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'm against that particular employee benefit. It was negotiated a long time ago, I think, by a Republican governor. I inherited contracts that were out of control, and I went to battle over the issue. What we did was negotiate savings that will amount to over $20 billion over the next 20 years. I did that. I had that battle, but you can't win every battle. And the idea that employees would give up that particular benefit wasn't very likely. But what we did do is produce billions of dollars of savings in a plan that I inherited from governors who served a long time ago.
All right, this next question is from Pam in Montville. She says, how can he, this means you, Governor, justify giving his non-union employees raises and longevity payments, but take it away from all of the union workers and still claim there is equal shared sacrifice, then say, well, it's money they already earned?
You know, I'm not sure what the questioner is asking about, to tell you the truth.
Some management level people got longevity payment bonuses last year, I should say. And you said, in response to questions at the time, I recall you saying that this was already contracted to them and they already earned them.
So I didn't do anything. What had happened is, in the case of longevity payments that had already been earned, then they were paid. I've also said that I think the legislature should deal with that issue. So I am not a proponent of longevity payments. Now, in the current for the current employees, those payments have been suspended for a period of time. The reality is that I would have preferred the legislature had played a different role.
All right, we'll have one more question coming up on this edition of Ask the Governor. Bob, we have time for one more question for Ask the Governor. This one is from Bob in South Windsor. He says, Governor Malloy is approaching his first complete year as governor. He implemented many new and higher taxes. The tax increases were to reduce the deficit. So what is the state deficit today? And once eliminated, will 2011 tax increases be reversed?
Well, first of all, there's so much in that question. Number one, I cut the budget by billions of dollars, both in the 2-year operating budget as well as over a 20-year period, $20 billion. Yes, we adjusted revenue because I was handed a $3.5 billion deficit by the outgoing governor. We have billions of dollars of obligations that we have to pay. So to use the term surplus doesn't make a lot of sense. We have a balanced budget for the first time in a long time. We have generally accepted accounting principles. We have a stable state government with revenue we can count on and expenditures that are now controlled. We're doing pretty well. It's been a pretty good year. And what I want to do is pay down our debt obligations, pay off Wall Street, where the prior governor and legislature borrowed $1 billion to cover operating expenses, rebuild the rainy day fund, and then make substantial progress on funding our pension obligations, and then we should talk about where we go from there.
That might take a few years.
It might.
Governor, thanks for being with us. Hope we can do it again.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year. And thank you for all of your questions. Live from the state capitol, I'm Chief Capitol Correspondent Mark Davis. Now let's check in with Keith and Ann for News 8 at 6.